Hey guys, Colby coming to you from Muffler Tech, and today I'm going to do a review on the product from Miller that is a cat shield, a cat protector plate as a theft deterrent device for the Gen 7, the Generation 7 Honda Accord. And we're going to show you what it is, what it looks like before it's installed, and once it's installed, and talk about its potential effectiveness. So let me just quickly touch on what a Generation 7 Honda Accord is. We have one on screen right now. And the easiest way to determine a Gen 7 is by, at least what I think, is this headlight, this kind of triangular design headlight. We have a Gen 6 parked next to it, which is also here for stolen catalytic converter, and you can see the very distinctive kind of difference in the front end of the cars. The Gen 7 also had a different design. Well, all the way around, it's just a different car, but has that kind of, the later cars had that triangular style taillight, and the earlier Gen 7, get over here, is this guy, who has more of the lateral design taillight, but when we're dealing with the front of the car looks the same. So again, Gen 7, even with some of the rear end facelift stuff, they all have this triangular headlight. All right, so we're going to walk under the one that we're using as our example today, and I'll show you guys what we have just done. We have just finished putting in an OEM catalytic converter. This is an SULEV application. This was an insurance claim, and anytime we get insurance claims, we always recommend going OEM on the SULEV applications in California, so that you don't have to go through the referee process on the aftermarket CAT. I have a video that I've discussed about the aftermarket CAT option and going through the California referee process. I'll attach it in the description below. But if it's insurance and it's on their dime, we always recommend OEM. The only problem with that is now we have put the very expensive part back on the car that the thieves are going to want to take again. Now, in review of how we fix these, I'll show you we're no longer replacing the exhaust system from here back, just to keep the cars out of going total loss stage. This helps keep our estimate down. So this is where the thieves cut it, and what we're doing is we're building a pipe, adding a flange here. That's an aftermarket flange, and then that allows it to bolt up to the factory cat. We have the factory cat with the factory heat shields, all the hardware. That then bolts to the aftermarket piece. Here, this one we happen to source from Napa. There's different sources on those. We've got an aftermarket air-fuel ratio sensor there, and you can see that bolts up to the head pipe. So, and these thefts, they're almost always unbolting them there and over on that side. And then what they're doing is cutting it back here and taking the entire assembly, which looks something like this. This happens to have an aftermarket piece in it, but this would be something that a thief would be carrying down the street and throwing in the trunk of their getaway car once they steal this off of a Gen 7 Honda Accord. This is what the box looks like from Miller, and in a moment here I'll open it up and show you its contents. All right, guys, before I start talking about the contents of the box, I just want to mention something really quick. We are an operational shop. We do about 20 to 25 cars a day, and I want to apologize for the background noise. We don't have the ability to shut down and stop doing production with the amount of cars we're working on every day. So thanks for putting up with that. We did kill the music, as I've gotten lots of comments in my earlier videos about people not appreciating the noise that's generated by the music, but I can't stop the guys from working. So anyway, so let's talk about what we get with the Miller Cat Shield. We basically get three major pieces here. You have the front shield, you have a center shield, and we have the rear piece, okay? Now the center piece is only used in an aftermarket application. Basically, the way that aftermarket cats are, they're a little bit smaller, they're a little bit more exposed, and so, I'll pause for a minute for that saw. So Miller has come up with the solution of this piece, and I'll show you how that would work. In the case of this particular example, because this car has an OEM catalytic converter, we will not be using this piece. The other pieces that come with this kit is an instruction sheet here, and we have all the hardware that comes with it to be able to attach this to the subframe. Now, something to note, And if you're looking at this as a DIY application, this does use nutserts. Basically kind of a large rivet. You have to drill a hole in the subframe, and then you need to have the proper nutsert tool. It looks like a bigger end of a rivet gun that collapses the nutsert into the hole. And that allows the car to have a receivable threaded piece to be able to accept the security screws and such that come with this particular product. All right, let's go over the hardware. Pretty extensive stuff used here. Lots of different pieces. Can be kind of intimidating looking, but if you follow the instructions and take your time and kind of understand how to do it, it's not that big of a deal. It's not that daunting. I want to talk quickly about the nutserts, which is not something everybody's going to be familiar with, but you basically are going to drill a hole that allows these splines right here to grab the edge of the hole. And then what happens is, if you don't have one of these, and what that is that's a pneumatic tool, and if you look on the end there, it has a threaded joint. We have different attachments for that. Right now we have the threaded joint on the end that is designed to go into the threads inside that nutsert right there. Kind of hard to see, but and basically what happens is when you thread this on, and this gets pushed up against the body of this, when you pull the trigger with air, this device pulls down here and compresses this into the hole that's drilled. And we'll show you as we do the install to give you a little bit better understanding. This is a fairly expensive tool to buy for a one-time installation, and so the way to do this without one of those is what you do is you get a bolt, which unfortunately doesn't come with this kit, but get a bolt that is of the same thread pitch and the right length, and what you do is you tighten the bolt down against the car, and the bolt essentially being tightened down will squish this down and do the same thing. It takes quite a bit longer, obviously, than that does, but as a professional installation shop and the amount of cars we do every day, we can justify the expense of that tool. So those are the nutserts. Now obviously you have a bunch of washers. You have the hardware that holds the pieces to the actual car. They do give you the inserts for doing the security screws. Now you can see this is a Torx bit, but it has a hole in the center there. Same with these other here. And what those are designed to do is you're able to get a screw or bolt in this case that doesn't take a normal Torx bit. Now, I know what's going to happen. Somebody's going to get on here and make a comment. You can go to the store, specialty tool stores, and buy those all day long and just remove it, and then what's the point of the shield and all that stuff. Guys, what you have to keep in mind is products like this are not designed to make your cat inside of Fort Knox. What we're trying to do is put something on your vehicle to deter the theft, to make this more difficult, to make it to where the thief has to spend a lot more time to get it off the vehicle, make a lot more noise, a lot more effort, have a lot more tools to get it off, and ultimately make it to where they will probably not steal yours. Now, it doesn't mean that won't happen. They can still take it. So let's just keep away from let's try to reverse how this goes on and how you can steal it. This is going to be way harder, and you can see a picture of it actually installed there. It's going to be way harder to get that little prize right there, that catalytic converter, than if it didn't have the shield at all. And if they want to try to remove it, it's going to take a lot longer. So quick kind of clip of what the directions look like, and as we move on here, we'll show you what it looks like installed on this car. So I have to stand myself corrected here. I want to show you guys this. So this hole right here is already pre-existing in the subframe. And kind of pan out here and show you what that looks like here. But the nutsert here goes in here. It's already pre-sized for the holes. So I was mistaken in drilling holes. I'm used to using these on other applications where we drill a hole to use them. So we have an existing hole here and on this side right here. And then Grant has already installed one here. This is on the cross member that goes across. There's a flex pipe. There's the cap to give you guys some location. You can see he already installed a nutsert here, and the other one is going to go right there. And I'll show you what it looks like with us installing that. we just had a malfunction with one of the nut-certs, but that gives me the opportunity to show you what it looks like here once a nut-cert is installed and how it works. So this side is before the nut-cert is pulled in its compressed state, and this side is what the nut-cert looks like once it's inserted and compressed. And what you can see, what happens here is that compresses, let me get it out in focus, and that pinches in between these two lips right here. That pinches the nut-cert into place, and then you have a threaded unit that's now attached to your frame or whatever you're trying to attach to, that allows you to screw a bolt or some kind of fastener in. So here's what it looks like on the install using our pneumatic nut-cert driver. And what Grant's doing is he's adjusting the threads there so he can pinch that down. And once it's in, then you have to unthread it from the cert itself. You can see it's coming out. And that will leave us an insert in that subframe that I was explaining before. You can see the threads there that'll allow us to put those security bolts in to hold the shield. All right, so now we have all the nut-certs in place. You can see there's one right there, one right there, and then if you look up on that subframe, there is one right there and one right there. And that is where the shields will attach to the car with those security bolts. And what you can see Grant doing now is he's putting in the bolts that are actually factory. They come from the factory there. Those holes are already threaded. He's putting those in to hold the rear shield in place. And if you look here, he's already got those security bolts started in the receivers or the nuts that are on the actual pan of the vehicle. They're already ready to go to take those security bolts. That one he's putting into the nut-cert that we installed. So here you can see that the outside hole, and again this is on the factory holes that are already there, the outside hole takes the security bolt that's supplied, and then the inside hole uses the OEM bolt that is supplied. Now some people would argue, why don't they have all four? I think the theory is here takes more tools. So you would have to have and change to a socket for this side, and have a different tool altogether that has the provision for that center post inside of that security bolt. All right, and you can see Grant here now assembling that front shield piece. Now, when I showed you guys those nut-certs earlier, my mistake, we actually had to put two more in the rear here, where he's actually inserting the bolt now. But you're starting to get a feel for what this looks like installed and how it kind of covers up the assembly. And here you can see he's putting the longer bolts in, and you double stack the spacer there where it goes up against the subframe there. That spaces it down properly in the right spot. And this gives us kind of a good angle here to show what that front bent section does and covers up access to that front pipe. Here's another shot of that front spacer there being installed, and you can see the security bolt there. This is the outside of the other one. Now something to note here, that bit he's using, when I was showing you the hardware, they send 3 different sizes. There's a couple reasons for this. First of all, like these rear ones are quite a bit smaller here than these here. So you do have to have different sizes because the hardware itself is an actual different size. However, this represents more difficulty with potential thief in that his tool selection is going to have to be a little bit wider. All right, it's all installed now, and that's what it looks like. Quick review on a couple tips here. You've got all that hardware I showed you to begin with. Very important that this is done properly. So you have the bolt itself, then you have a lock washer, and then you have a regular washer. Very important that's done in that order. And you'll see we've done that on all the different locations of where all those bolts are. And what we're going to go over here now that it's in is from this angle you can see, of course, the cat is exposed. And that's important. In California, New York, and other states that are starting to adopt the California rules, you have to be able to view the part in an emissions inspection to be able to verify it's the right part. But what we're up against here, if we're a potential thief, is if we took a cordless sawzall or other type of tools, we can't get in here. We can't get a blade in here to make a cut. Same thing in the front is this front shield allows the cat itself to be exposed here, but to get in here with an actual saw, the shield is limiting that access. Now, some say, well, why don't they just cut the shield? Which they, of course they could do, but the shield is going to move around with the saw. It's going to make a bunch of noise because of what it's made out of. And again, like I mentioned earlier in the video, everybody, this is a deterrent. It's a very good one, and we have a very high success rate with it, but it's not a guarantee. We still recommend on these cars that you keep a good comprehensive insurance policy. I've made another video about that. I'll attach that in the description about what kind of insurance to carry to protect yourself monetarily against this sort of thing. But that gives you an idea of what the Miller Cat Shield does and how it protects your vehicle and what it looks like installed. All right, guys, hey, thanks again for watching. By all means, I'd love to keep doing this, keep kind of getting that information out there about stolen cats and things that are related and different ways to help protect yourself. I want to talk really quickly about the Gen 7 Accord and make sure that everybody has some awareness around how important it is that if you own one of these cars or a Gen 6, as you can see, I have one here behind me, and I've got a shop full. This is our storage area here behind the shop, behind the main shop where we do our production, but you can see I've got a shop full of other cars here waiting on insurance approval, all for stolen cats. I mean, some of these cars are back here for other reasons, but it's really important for everybody to understand how impactful this has become to anybody that has the ownership around the years of the Accords that are getting stolen. Again, the Gen 7 is the big one. Gen 6 is also on the list. Really important to know, and you should pass this along to your friends, family, anybody you care about that might have one of these cars. Again, as I mentioned earlier, insurance, all that things, these are all very important. But at Muffler Tech here, we're very kind of focused on trying to prevent this theft, trying to get the information out there to everybody so that we can all have the awareness and what we need to do to make sure this doesn't happen to us or people that, that matter to us. Hey, thanks a lot for watching, you guys. If you like it, please give me a like. Even better, a subscribe. If you don't like something I've said, if you have some criticism for me, I'm open to it. Please leave me a comment down below. I do my best to comment back if you guys have questions. I've been in the industry now for about 30 years. I know a little bit about this stuff, so obviously I'm here to help, and I'd love to see if I can try. Muffler Tech is located in Sacramento, California. And we've been in business now for 25 years. We'd love to help you with any problems you have with stolen cats, with theft prevention, just any sort of exhaust needs at all. So keep us in mind for that. Again, thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great day.